Great evening, everyone. Welcome to I Am Transformed. I am excited to have you with us today because this is our first episode, and I am excited. I'm past excited to welcome Sharae Jenkins with us today. She's going to be speaking with us today because of her amazing transformation with her 60-pound weight loss. And she's been able to sustain that for over 10 years. This weight loss transformation has turned her passion into purpose, where she has created her own health coaching business, Fab and Fit Health Coaching LLC. She's going to share her story with us. She's going to encourage us and educate us on how to lose the physical and the mental roadblocks that keep us in bondage. And who knows, the start of your successful transformation could be during this interview. This interview is near and dear to me because of a health scare that I had this past summer that resulted in a 25-pound weight loss for me. Now, while I'm still on that road to additional pounds to lose, Sharae was instrumental in the information that she shared through her Facebook and Instagram uh, stories that she shares. And much of what she shares, I adopted in order to lose that weight. So I am going to bring forth Miss Sharae Jenkins and have her introduce herself to you all. Hi,
Hello.
Sharae.
Hi.
How are
Hello.
you?
I'm good. I am so excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
No,
Thank
it's a
you.
pleasure. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to introduce you to everybody. I want you to first start off with just telling us a little bit about Sharae.
Yeah, definitely. So, my name is Sharae, and I am in Seattle, Washington. I am a nutritionist and health coach, and I help career women who struggle losing weight create effective and sustainable lifestyle changes while eating food they enjoy. I definitely want to erase the stigma that eating healthy has to be boring or bland, or that you're going to hate your food or be hungry all the time. So, I definitely try to incorporate that into what I teach my clients, and also with the way that I prepare my own meals. Um, and as Veronica shared with you, I had my own transformation, and my journey kind of took me a while to get there. After hearing my doctor say, "You need to lose weight. You need to lose weight. Your blood pressure is too high." So I had that factor. I was constantly tired. I was lethargic. I had really bad acne, and I got into a point where like my clothes were so tight. They were just completely too small, and I was like, I cannot keep doing this. I refused to buy bigger clothes, and just the thing that was like the last straw, if you will, was when someone who I don't believe that they meant this in a mean spirited way, but it had been quite some time since I last saw them. And they were like, "Oh, are you expecting? Are you pregnant?" And I'm like, "No." I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." Like, has my weight gotten to that point where people could think that I was pregnant? And it just all of those kind of culminated together, and I was like, I need change. And initially I started with the diets that were really popular at that time. This was back in 2008, and Atkins was huge. So I was like, oh well, I'll just do that, because there really wasn't, of course, like Instagram and Facebook, I think, was just kind of just starting. It definitely hadn't morphed to what it is now. So there wasn't a whole lot of information out there. And so I was like, well, I'll just do Atkins. And my mom had the book, and I was like, I'll just follow the book. And I hated it. Like, it was the worst thing for me ever. Like, I felt deprived, and I was hungry, and I just went back to my old habits. And any weight that I lost, I gained it back and then some. And so, what was really the game changer for me is I fell kind of into the trap of marketing again, but it kind of was to my benefit as I kept seeing commercials for Weight Watchers. And I was like, okay, well, maybe that'll help because it seems more structured, and I'm not doing it on my own. And I can go to these meetings where, I can check in and get support and accountability. And so I went to Weight Watchers, and it was a really great program for me. It helped me build a really solid foundation about lifestyle change and how to approach healthy eating in a way that is sustainable. So I did really like that, and just like the group coaching aspect of it. So with that program, I lost 60 pounds, and I've been able to keep it off for 10 years, and just over time really developed a passion for wanting to help other women be proactive about their health, because I don't want people to get to a point where their health is compromised, where, every day it's like they're tired, and, they just want to feel better. They want to be more confident. And so I really developed a passion for helping women do that. So I went back and earned certifications as a nutritionist and a health coach, and wanted to develop my own programs. So, definitely there were aspects of the Weight Watchers program that I definitely loved. And there were some aspects that I think could have been different. And so I developed my own one-on-one health coaching programs. Weight Watchers is more like group coaching programs, which are highly effective. But I wanted that one-on-one approach because everyone's challenges when it comes to developing a healthier lifestyle are different. So I wanted to be able to help someone one-on-one with what specific area they're struggling with, and also to help them with meal planning, again, with helping them eat foods that are nutritious, that are nutrient dense, and that they'll actually enjoy. So I developed my one-on-one health coaching services, and also developed a meal planning service as well for people who just want that level of support. And it's just been a tremendous blessing for me to be able to do something that I'm passionate about. I prayed for several years about, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? And, it was just always about health. And when I realized I could do health coaching, and I'm like, oh, I could actually like develop my own programs and like turn this into a career if I wanted to pursue it to that level. So, like I said, it's been a huge blessing for me to support so many women, and to share my journey and share um, tips and things like that on social media. It's been a tremendous blessing.
You said something very key. I'm going to go back just a little bit when you talked about um, doing Atkins and some of the
Mm-hmm.
others until you finally found Weight Watchers.
Mm-hmm.
I had that struggle over the years as well, and I
Okay.
did try Weight Watchers.
Okay.
But I want you to talk about the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things out there. Keto works for some people. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
work for me. Weight Watchers works for some. It didn't work
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
What can you share with someone when they're looking for that thing to do in order to lose weight?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's important to have the mindset of what can I sustain long term? Because I know that we get frustrated with our weight, and we're just like, I want the weight gone. But we have to understand that it's a process, and that we didn't gain the weight overnight, so we're not going to lose it overnight. And when you lose weight really quickly, chances are you're going to gain that weight back and then some. That's what happens with diets, and that's how diets are set up. And honestly, they're set up for you to fail. So you have to find an approach that you actually enjoy, because you can enjoy a certain style of eating that you can maintain. So can you eat that way for 6 months, for a year, 5 years? And if you can't see yourself eating that way, then I would encourage you to try a different approach. And it is about trial and error. And I think sometimes with our society, how we want everything right now, quick, 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 we just go for the approach that, oh, this is really popular, or, I lost a ton of weight on this. Well, how did you feel? Do you always want to, cut out this food group? Do you always want to stop, eating out of after a certain time even though you're hungry? Like, do you really want to stick to all of these food rules? Or do you want to find food freedom but still lose the weight? Because that approach is possible. Like, no, you're not going to lose like 20 pounds in a month, and you shouldn't want to, but are you going to be committed to the process? Are you going to be consistent? Are you going to understand that slow and steady wins the race? Like think more long term instead of this month I need to do this. It's like, okay, think long term, and then break that down into small, manageable chunks, and then focus on action steps that are reasonable for you. If you were like myself, I was a couch potato. So I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I'm going to sign up for CrossFit. No, 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 because you will hate it and you will be
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So I just started really simple. I started with walking because, like I said, I was so sedentary. So walking was even a challenge for me. But I knew that I had to start somewhere. I started there and then I just worked my way up. I increased the intensity. I increased the amount of time that I worked out. I incorporated strength training, and then the way that I eat now, it's different from how I started. But, when I started, I just said, okay, what makes the most sense to me? What are some small changes that I can start making where I still feel full and satisfied, but I don't feel deprived like how I was when I was on, XYZ diet.
hmm And you said a couple of key things that I took from following you, and that was what can I realistically do,
Mm-hmm.
and that food freedom.
Mm-hmm.
I was a meat person. I barely ate vegetables, but it wasn't that I ate a lot because if I ate breakfast in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
I could, if I'm busy at work or busy with my schedule, I could not think about eating until probably by the time I got off.
Mm-hmm.
So while I know that's not healthy, I'm just not the person who's going to consume 2,000 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So listening to your message about being realistic in the food freedom, one of the things that I did was I removed the sodas. I was a
Good.
Pepsi person.
Yeah.
I chose that over water, and so I went cold turkey, and I had to do that. I did get rid of the meat. I
Okay.
know there's some back and forth with whether or not you should have meat or not, but I had to do what felt right for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the walking, I started walking.
Awesome.
It was a mile or two, and now I'm up to averaging 6 miles. And
Awesome.
so those things that you said are definitely key when someone's trying to make a decision on what to do, and how to do it. And it's about being realistic.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you're a soda person and sodas can have, anywhere from 14 plus tablespoons of sugar,
Mm-hmm.
that's a no-no within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the other thing that you said about being deprived and having food that's tasteless, um, it was a challenge for me to go whole food plant-based because I thought everything was going to be nasty. And
Yeah.
I want you to touch on this because I found the key was to seasonings.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
season everything with no meat, and it's wonderful. Talk about
Right.
that.
Yeah, and for some reason people think that they can't season their food. I'm like, no, 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 no. Season your food. And I've actually found more seasonings. So I found more creative ways to cook that made healthy eating more appetizing. So it's like experiment with different seasonings. You don't have to just use salt and pepper. Use onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, spice blends, and, find different ways to make your food more appealing. If you don't like vegetables, one thing that people really love is roasting them, like roasted broccoli definitely tastes better than eating it raw. Like if you
Right.
just want to eat raw broccoli, that may be a bit of a challenge, but if you roast it up and season it, just experiment with your food and be open. I think is a big thing. It's just being open and,
Yeah.
and knowing that you're taking steps to improve your health and that you're worth it. You're worth that whole trial and error process, and you're worth that learning process,
Right.
and you're worth also that kind of unlearning process of previous habits that really no longer support you and that really aren't your best interest.
Right. We have a question from Crystal who says, "How long did it take you to lose the weight before you reached your 60-pound goal?"
So in the first year that I did Weight Watchers, I lost 50 pounds, and then a couple, just like over time, a couple of years, I lost an additional 10 pounds. So
Okay.
yeah. But a majority of it was working on that mindset. Good. It's that mindset piece because if you don't start with the right mindset, then it's going to be difficult to continue on with healthier habits
Right.
and maintain that commitment.
Right. I'm interested in listening to Kirsten to find out what she's doing. She said that she's on her weight loss journey now.
Mm-hmm.
If she could put that in the chat, what she's doing now and what changed her mind or what motivated her to start.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've always had a hectic schedule, so it's always been a challenge to get out and go work out. But
Mm-hmm.
I never overate, so it really didn't dawn on me. But I had a doctor's appointment this past summer that basically resulted in the doctor saying he wanted to put me on all these different medicines because my
Mm.
cholesterol was through the roof.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not on any medicines now, so I'm
Good.
thinking I'm okay. I knew I was overweight, but I thought I was okay.
Okay.
But when he said that, everything went cold turkey for me because I refuse to be on medication for
Right.
something that's reversible.
Exactly.
And he did tell me that it was reversible. And so, and it was funny because I had the follow-up doctor appointment. I think it was 2 months after that, and I had lost 25 pounds. And he was like, "Oh, wow, what are you doing?" And I told
Awesome.
him, and he basically said, "Keep up what you're doing.
Good.
Come back in 3 months. We'll recheck your cholesterol then. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're good, we can take the medicine off the table."
Good.
So that was my motivating factor, and I love it. I feel great. I'm sleeping better. I'm
Yes.
not dealing with the swollen limbs. My skin has cleared up, and so I
Mm-hmm.
just tell anybody that mindset, when you're ready to do it,
Yep.
nothing's going to stop you.
Exactly.
um, so Sheree, talk about what does a typical day look like for you?
Mm-hmm. So definitely, I try to have just like core meals and just kind of like vary the ingredients throughout the week and try to make nutrition simple for myself. So I try to incorporate protein and vegetables in every meal. So for me, breakfast can be some kind of egg casserole or egg frittata, however you want to call it, with, like vegetables in it, like spinach, some sorts of meat as well, and additional vegetables. I love to have fruit with my breakfast. I used to have a huge sweet tooth, but when I ate more fruit, my palate adjusted to the natural sugar. And, so it definitely curbed my sweet tooth. So I always encourage people, if they have sugar cravings, I'm like, okay, try to stick with natural sugar. And over time, your palate's going to adjust. So I always have fruit with my breakfast. Lunch is always a salad, and I'm not just talking like lettuce and tomatoes. Like, I do lettuce and, tomatoes and other colorful vegetables. I try to eat the rainbow, as I tell
Yeah.
people, just because there's so many vital nutrients in all of the different produce that's in different colors, your reds, your purples, your greens, all that. Again, I have a source of protein, whether it be chicken, tuna, turkey meat, hard boiled eggs. Try to have also like a carbohydrate source. It could be like roasted carrots, sweet potatoes. I have cheese in there, but of course, if you're lactose or you don't like cheese, omit that. Um, and then for snacks, I go really, really simple, like with yogurt or protein bars, things like that. You could do vegetables and hummus is really good. For dinner, again, I stick with, half a plate of green vegetables. I do a carbohydrate source, and then I do a meat source, protein. So it could be like this past week, I made turkey chili, and it was just amazing. I love chili this time of year. Um, I'm big on squash this time of
Okay.
year too. I'll do turkey burgers, meatloaf, chicken, and I just try to really have fun with it. I do experiment with a lot of different recipes, but definitely I encourage people to have just like core meals that they can go to, and I encourage people to just stock their kitchen with food that they can easily whip up into a healthy meal, especially like on the weekends, because I know that the weekends are challenging, and when people can kind of veer off. It's like, Monday through Friday, we have our structure, we have our schedule. Then the weekend, it's like, yeah, let me
Yeah.
just kind of cut loose. And I'm like, let's, you may not want to do that because you want to be consistent. And,
Right.
weekends count too.
Right. Right. I love watching your shows when you do your grocery runs.
Oh.
So
Again.
talk about your grocery runs.
Yeah, so I love watching those on YouTube, and I was like, why don't I just do my own? I'm like, maybe people will be interested. And so I just, like, after I do my grocery store trips, I go on Fridays after work just to kind of get it over with. And I just, talk about what I bought and, why I bought it, how I plan on using it, just to, give people ideas and inspiration. Definitely not to say you have to eat this way, but just giving people ideas, because if you're used to a certain way of eating, then maybe when you go to the grocery store, you're not used to, starting with the perimeter where, you have your fruits and your vegetables, your meat and things like that. Like, maybe you're used to going more in down the aisles to get your food, but then that's where, you get a lot of your processed food. So I try to emphasize eating more whole foods and things like that. So it seems to be something that people like. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just keep, sharing it and hoping that it gives people some ideas. So,
Okay. We've got Waukesha. Waukesha's my dear friend. She says
oh,
she's on her
great.
weight loss journey also.
Yay. Awesome.
Um, I didn't know that, Waukesha, so I'm going to be in touch with you to help with accountability.
Great.
Um, Now, Sharae, I'm single and I live alone, but Waukesha has people in the house with her.
Mm.
What advice can you give people who have families who may not be on board
Mm-hmm.
with their weight loss journey or going from um, one diet to maybe vegan or plant-based? What can
Mm-hmm.
you tell people who have families at home?
I would definitely say have a conversation with them and just let them know of your intentions and say, I'm not trying to convert you, but I'm just asking if you could please support me on this journey. If you live with people who have cookies and candy, if you could, maybe say, do you mind putting it, over here, like somewhere where it's not easily visible to you, or if you could kindly not offer that to me, I'd really appreciate it. And so I think it's just, I know it can be difficult, but really just standing up for yourself in a kind way and saying, you have your pattern of eating and this is mine. And I just ask that you please support me. And you never know, you could definitely influence him to eat healthier. When I was losing weight, I was the one eating healthy in my house, but it definitely influenced my mom. And, she lost a tremendous amount of weight as well. And so I think sometimes people have to see you doing it, and then they
Mm-hmm.
see that it's more realistic, because I think sometimes we have a misconception about weight loss and say, oh, I'm going to be hungry all the time. And like what we spoke about, our food's going to be nasty. I'm going to hate it. And so it kind of keeps you stuck. But I think if you see somebody who you relate really well to and you see how they're making it happen, you're like, well, maybe I will try that. Like, like, oh, maybe I will try that, turkey meatloaf instead of this ground beef, or, oh, what is that? A spaghetti squash? What does that taste like? Oh, this
Yeah.
is actually pretty good. Or,
Yeah.
so you never know who you could influence. So
Yeah,
definitely
I think
encourage
that's
it.
key. That's key. When I started the journey, I went on Facebook after my doctor's comment, and I went on Facebook mainly to keep myself accountable. And
Mm.
what ended up happening was people were inboxing me privately saying they started to do this or started to do that, and then the next thing I know, they went plant-based or got this whole exercise regimen, and it really blew my mind because my intent was not to
Hmm.
inspire anyone, but it also helped me in knowing that you never know who's watching.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You never
Yeah,
know. You never know. So
yeah.
that is awesome that you influence people. Good. Good.
Well, that wasn't the intent because I'm still working on me too.
Yeah, but
But
I mean, I think you definitely have had a tremendous amount of progress so far. So, and I've
yeah,
been seeing your posts as well. So, yeah,
I've
there's
got a
definitely
ways to
people.
go. I got a
Yeah.
ways to go, but I feel great about it.
Yeah.
But one of the things I did want to touch on, as people are asking questions about mindset, is when I first started, there were some people who said, "Oh, you gave up meat. How are you going to get your protein? I don't know if I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to be able to do that, or I can't give up the sodas, or I can't do this, I can't do that." And one of the first things I'm going to say to people is watch what you
Mm-hmm.
speak.
That's what I was gonna say.
You never know until you try it. I never thought I could give up meat. Meat was my go-to. I would have meat before I had anything else. And to give it up is really a testament within itself.
Mm-hmm.
I replace meat with mushrooms. Now I'm crazy about mushrooms.
Yeah.
So if you need that meaty texture,
Mm-hmm.
mushrooms are my go-to.
Yeah.
Um, but all that to say, there's no one way to lose weight. Find
Right.
the method that works for you, and speak life into your
Mm-hmm.
goals and into your
Yes.
situation.
Yes, definitely.
We've got Kristi Garrett asking if it
Oh,
was
that's a
hard for
good
you
question.
to stay on track during the holidays, and if you have cheat days.
Definitely. So for the holidays, I think because I just had the mindset of a holiday is a day. It's one day, and like Thanksgiving, it's one meal out of one day. So it's taking, I think, more of that approach to it instead of oh, it's holiday season, so I'm just going to enjoy everything. So it's about like planning, balance and moderation, and just saying, okay, I have several events coming up. What are some ways that maybe I can splurge a little bit, but then at the same time, what are some ways where I can eat in a way that is more closely aligned to my goals, and going to events. And well, first of all, not going hungry to events. That was a key one for me, because when you go to places hungry, you're like, everything looks good.
Oh, that's a great point. Great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. So I am known for having snacks in my purse because I'm like, I will not be tempted to go overboard. So, I would go, and then I would see, okay, what's available? What do I really want? And sometimes, depending on the food that was available, I'm like, I don't really, want anything, or it was easier for me to make healthier choices. And then sometimes I would say, okay, I do kind of want to splurge on that. Let me have like a reasonable portion of that. Let me try to get in some fruits and vegetables, and then I won't be craving all of these other foods. Let me have a small slice of cake. Instead of two big slices, let me have a smaller slice of cake. Or instead of me ordering, like an appetizer and a dessert, maybe I'll do one or the other.
Okay.
Or restaurants. If you're going to go to a restaurant, look up the nutrition information beforehand and go with like an informed choice.
Hmm.
If you do want to splurge, at least know what you're getting yourself into, or how many calories it is, or whatever. Or if you're like, I did splurge a little bit at that other event, and I want to eat in a way that's a little bit more aligned with my goals. Let me see what they have available, so you
Okay.
can go and make an informed choice. As far as cheat days, um I try not to use the term cheat. I know it's really popular, but when you're thinking about it as a lifestyle and just an approach, cheating has so much of a negative connotation. So I'll
Yes.
say like an indulgent meal or splurge. And I try to
Mhm.
keep it at one meal and not a whole day or a whole weekend, because that could really um, kind of undo your progress from
Right.
from kind of like what I was talking about earlier during the week. So, I try to plan them. When you plan them, you tend to not go overboard, but you tend to be able to, enjoy something a little bit more indulgent. So I do try to like plan those out. And like I said, if I go to a restaurant, I'm like, okay, I really do like this restaurant. I do want to have that particular meal. But then after having that meal, it's okay, let me get back to what I'm used to. So not just allowing it to turn into one meal and then two meals and then three meals.
Right.
So it's about having that more balanced approach, and and planning it out.
Right. Right. Like you said, intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Shawana says, yes, that's true. Changing the mindset and being open to
Open to,
change.
yes, yes,
Yes,
definitely.
that was big for me, just to be able to try a certain vegetable that I've never eaten before, to find out that I actually like it.
Right, right.
And making sure that I season it. I've done my time on YouTube to figure out how to cook certain things, how to preserve certain things, what
Mm-hmm.
can be frozen and not. So it's all just about educating yourself and just trying it. Like, I didn't think I would like avocados. So
Really?
when I went to the store, they just look so disgusting to me. I'm sorry.
It's hard to pick ripe ones, and I think that's it, because when you open it and it's brown, you're like, ooh, I don't
Uh,
mind.
yeah, and I think it's just the greenness of it, because
Oh, really?
I don't do the guacamole, and so when I look at avocados, I think of guacamole, and I just can't.
Oh, okay.
But I pushed myself, and I went and bought one,
Okay.
and instead of using mayo on a sandwich that I was eating, I
Mm-hmm.
spreaded it with the avocado, and
Yes.
I think I put garlic powder or garlic powder on it,
Uh-huh.
and I didn't even taste it.
Yeah.
And so now I feel good about being able to get in those fats, the
Good.
healthy fats, without
Yes.
using mayo or something else like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good alternative. Good. Yeah, that is, definitely a testament to being open and trying it. And
Right.
that's how I was with squash. I'm like, what is this thing? And I was like, and I did the same thing. I went on YouTube and I was like, okay, how do I, what does it taste like? And, how would you incorporate it? How would you cut it? And I was like, I'll buy one. And I cut it up and roasted it. I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'm like,
Yeah.
I never knew this existed. And I'm like, I found all these like fruits and vegetables. And I'm like, yeah, I did not know all this existed, but I guess I wouldn't know because I was eating so much fast food.
Right. 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 Now, do you find, I want to touch on stress a little bit. Do you
Uh-huh.
find that you are off track with your eating or your lifestyle when you're stressed? Or how do you handle stress?
Sure. Stress eating was a challenge for me, which is definitely what I think contributed to my weight. I gained a lot of weight in college. But right now, as far as stress eating is concerned, it's tempting for me to want to stress eat. Like when I'm stressed at work, I'm like, I want cookies. But I'm like, okay, that doesn't solve the issue.
Hmm.
And I think it goes back again, circling around to mindset and understanding that when you're stressed, even though you're feeling like you want something to eat. There's a difference between physical hunger where your stomach's growling versus psychological hunger where you're like, I just want to have cookies, and
Hmm.
understanding what it is that you really need in that moment.
Hmm.
Because if you really need to work on a strategy for stress, okay, well, eating a cupcake is not going to help because the stressor is still going to be there. So it's trying to really adjust or address rather what it is that's really stressful to you. And sometimes I'm just like, just take some deep breaths and relax and just, focus on if it's a task at work, just do it. Or, if it's a stressful situation at home, it's like, okay, what can I do instead? So it's like developing different positive coping mechanisms,
Hmm.
to whatever it is that's stressing you. And so I definitely think that it's coming to, I would say like identifying what brings you joy.
Right.
What can you do when you're in a stressful moment that would be joyous or that would really help?
Yeah.
Because if hunger is not the problem, then food's not the answer.
Right.
Um, and I would say the last thing is definitely your environment. If you know that there are certain foods that are trigger foods for you, then it may be wise for a certain amount of time to not buy them because you're kind of setting yourself up if you know that. I mean, and again, I don't say this in a judgmental way because, I've had my
Right.
challenges too, but if you know that you love ice cream and it's easy for you to overeat it, it probably isn't wise to buy it and keep it in the house.
Right.
Things like that. So it's controlling your environment. You have control over that, for the
Right.
most part, unless you're living with people. And, kind of what I said earlier, if you are living with people, just letting them know your intentions and if they could support you and provide a little bit more accountability as well.
Right. I think that's important to, as you're going through this process, to be in tune to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Because my go-to when I was stressed was Pepsi's, but after I stopped drinking it, I found that every time I wanted something like like right now, my go-to is Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and I've never had it before, but all of a sudden that's what I've been craving.
Right.
So instead of feeling guilty, I would go and get the $1 little
Oh, I've seen those. Those are cute. The really little,
$1 at
and
Kroger's.
yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like instead of getting a whole pint, you get the little part and you get your fix, and you're like, I'm good.
Well, but see, now my fix is turning into every time I'm stressed, I think about the ice
Oh,
cream.
oh,
And so
gotcha.
while it's only 2 ounces, I had to realize that every time I had that craving, I was stressed, or either I went all day without eating. So
Mm,
knowing your triggers and knowing that stress, you really got to be in tune into your body to like you said, determine what and the why, so that you're not repeating
mm-hmm.
those cycles.
Right.
We've got another question. Um, Kirsten says she's been heavy for quite a while. She's reaching middle age and wants to be healthy and vibrant. and she also wants to get off meds. And she's been working with you, Sharae,
Yeah.
and she's helping you. You're helping her with a plan. That's awesome.
Yes.
And I will say to her that it's not too late. I will be 50 next month, and so I pressed in my heart that 50 is not going to look like I did when I was 40 or even 48.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all in the mindset. The the goal is right there in front of you. We can do this.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on coffee and creamer? I love coffee and have a headache if I don't have it, but I know the sweet creamer can't be good, but I can't do black coffee. Any advice? I would say for that, if you don't want to just cut it out cold turkey, I would say with the creamer, be sure to measure it out. So I think a lot of creamers is serving as like 2 tablespoons or something like that. So maybe like drawing back a little bit, or using something that is a natural source of sweetener like stevia. They also have some stevia drops that you can put in. Stevia is a plant. Also, if you need some caffeine, there's also green tea. Green tea has caffeine as well, not as much caffeine as coffee, but that may be an alternative as well. So just seeing where you are and then just like trying to scale back from
Mhm.
there, and then you're just being mindful of like how much cream you're consuming, because I definitely know it's easy to just kind of like pour and
Mhm.
pour, and then once you look at the back, at least for me, and realize I'm like, oh, it was only a tablespoon, and then I look at a tablespoon and I'm like, oh, that was okay, that may be the problem, because I
Yeah.
was just so I think
Yeah.
it's just, like being mindful of like where you are and just small changes that you can make to kind of like draw back. And again, it goes back to what's reasonable, because like
Mhm.
you said, you don't want to do black coffee. Okay, that's no problem, because a lot of people don't do black coffee, but what is a way that you can make a small change that's more sustainable, and then make a change from there, then make a change from there. Like, I never thought that I could give up juice, but how I started was, instead of a full glass, I would have like half a glass of juice, and then
Mhm.
maybe dilute it a little bit with water. And over time,
Yeah.
I started drinking more water, and I didn't even crave juice. So, just
Right.
give yourself time to make small adjustments, and just keep at it.
I agree. Small adjustments. Don't beat yourself up.
Definitely.
For me, Regine is just like me. We're heavy-handed with the cream and sugar, and so when I started having headaches, I just remembered what you said. Just take those cutbacks. Maybe not have a coffee every day, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
every other day, taper
Mm-hmm.
yourself off. But what I found helped me was increasing my water.
Yeah,
And when I
that
did that,
helps.
it cut out a lot of the cravings that I had.
Yep, yep, yep. That definitely does make a difference. Have either of you experimented with Beyond Burger? If so, what are some ways you have prepared? I haven't. I haven't experimented with the Beyond Burgers. I haven't.
I can't remember if Beyond Burger was the brand that I chose, but there is a plant-based burger. What's the name of it? I can't remember offhand, but I have just kind of cooked it up on the stove, and I had lettuce. Instead of mayo, I would spread the bread with avocado, um, tomatoes. I don't like onions, so
Mm-hmm.
but I also, those are not my go-to because they're still processed.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I have a burger, I've been in the mode now of whatever I'm going to try, I make it from scratch, or I try to experimenting with food. I've been enjoying experimenting with food. Um, so actually, with that said, Sheree, what are your thoughts on how often you get something that's processed?
I try to, like you said, also limit like processed food, because it can be very addicting. Like, that's how food manufacturers make it. They make it addicting by putting in like sugar and preservatives and salt, and making it very palatable. And like yourself, I started to cook more myself, and making different alternatives. Like, if I wanted chicken strips, I wasn't frying them; I was baking them. And now I have an air fryer, to which I absolutely adore. And instead of buying a burger, I'm making it myself. When you make it yourself, you have control over the portions and over the food quality, the ingredients, and things like that. So yeah, definitely making more of your own food, and relying less on packaged food. you know.
Right.
So my
Let's
daughter still
see.
has the cookies and candies also. I open the pantry and see it, but I have to tell myself no. And just, I think it's important to just put your goals in mind. And I would tell my clients, like, I'd say literally, like, write out your goals and post them where they're visible to you,
Hmm.
so that you can always like literally see it at the forefront of your mind, and you're constantly reminded of it, so that I'm working towards something, instead of just saying I can't have cookies. It's saying, I really want to achieve X, and what's going to help me to achieve X is doing Y. Like
Right.
eating cookies, this isn't probably going to help me reach my goal. What can I do instead?
Right.
So
Right. Let's see. We've got
that's good. More balanced approach. Okay,
more
good.
balanced approach. Yes, taking those small steps. Ernest says, great topic, being able to control your appetite. Doing a great job. Thank you,
Awesome.
Ernest.
Thank you, Ernest. Thank you.
Regine says, thank you.
Thank you, Regine.
I think I've gone through all the questions and comments. We're approaching almost 45 minutes. So, what I want to end with, Sharae, is what advice would you give someone who is just starting out? They're wanting a better lifestyle. It's so much out there, it's overwhelming.
Definitely. Hmm.
What advice would you give them to get started?
I would definitely say just start simple, start small, incorporating a vegetable and a protein in every meal, like starting with, your green leafy vegetables. Okay, yeah, we can talk about air frying and frying too, but I'm definitely focusing on getting more whole foods in your diet, more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds. If you choose to eat meat, eating lean protein, your chicken, turkey, seafood, eggs, and things like that, and trying to, when you go grocery shopping, do a bulk of your grocery shopping around the perimeter where you're seeing those more whole foods, where you're seeing less packaged foods. And when you do eat packaged foods, instead of looking at the front of it where the food manufacturer can make any claim that they want, look at the back, look at the ingredients and say, okay, are there a lot of ingredients that I can't pronounce? You know, because knowing that means that, maybe this food isn't going to have as many health benefits. And so, is there a way that I can prepare this myself? Is there, compare different versions? Is there one that has, like fewer ingredients? I would definitely say get some type of movement in, whether it is just walking, whether um, it is just doing like, a 30-minute dance class or something like that. Go on YouTube and there are free workouts that you can do in your home. And definitely, I would say increase your water intake. That's going to definitely
Yes.
help if you're dealing with, gas and bloating, like how I was, or, I had horrible skin because I drank so much juice. So definitely drinking more water. It's easy to mistake hunger and thirst. There are times you
Hmm.
think that you're hungry, but really you're thirsty. So definitely getting more water. So like I said, starting with more whole foods, getting in some kind of movement, even if it's considered light activity, just start, and then increasing your water intake. And then just see, I mean, things will evolve over time. You'll learn new things, and it's okay. It's okay to research and to try new things and say, okay, maybe that's not going to work for me. Like myself, I like a lot of the foods that are on the paleo diet, but I can't do paleo myself because they don't eat legumes, and I love peanuts, and
Okay.
peanuts are legumes, and they don't do
Okay.
dairy. And I tolerate dairy and I love dairy. So I take inspiration from different places. And so I
Right.
think it's, being open to trying some new things as well.
Right. And finding out what works for you, because what works for
Yeah.
you may not work for me. You eat meat. I'm not eating meat
Right.
now.
But that's what works for you. So I think that's
Right.
great.
Right. I'm afraid if I do, I'm gonna have a setback, and I'm just gonna gonna be honest. But
Yeah.
I'm loving the lifestyle right now. So,
Good.
and I haven't even thought about eating meat or drinking Pepsi. I haven't had one soda or meat since June.
Wonderful.
So um, I think just like you said, being intentional about those small changes that you can make will
Mm-hmm.
definitely have huge impacts.
Mm-hmm.
Christy's asking about the air fryer
Yeah.
versus frying.
Fine.
I have an air
Yeah.
fryer. I
Yeah,
love my air fryer.
yeah, me too. You don't have to use any butter or oil, so definitely saves a lot of calories and a lot of fat, but it doesn't skip on flavor at all.
Right.
Like it makes everything just tender and juicy, and it really enhances the flavor of everything. So I would definitely say it's a good investment. I got mine at Walmart and it was super cheap. So I
Yeah.
am just like, I just like toss everything in there, and
Yeah.
it goes back to just experimenting and, you know, being open to preparing foods in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Uh, I'm looking to see if there's any more comments before we close. Definitely want to respect your time. Let's see. We don't have any more comments, but Sharae, do you want to share your boot camp?
yeah, so I am in the middle of, and Kirsten, she is a part of my challenge right now. So I am holding a 28-day total body cleanup challenge just to help women create sustainable lifestyle changes, helping them focus on developing better habits, improving their mindset, and helping them clean up their diet with whole foods that are healthy, that are nutrient dense, and that actually taste appealing. So I am just really enjoying this community for this 28-day challenge. And I plan to run another one at the beginning of the year. So I have just been really enjoying this experience and supporting the ladies and seeing the transformations that they're making, not just on the scale, but the non-scale victories of having, you know, more energy and, you know, enjoying their food and being more active and drinking more water. And I'm just really loving the transformations and just being able to support women and give them that level of accountability and having them be in a community. I think that's really important aspect is community and accountability. I know that was key for me. You know, you
Hmm.
don't feel like you're doing it all on your own, and you can, you know, get inspiration from others. You can bounce questions off of other people. I've been enjoying it as well. Yeah, she's been a
Yeah.
part of my program, and she's been wonderful, and I
Awesome.
enjoy having her.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tell everyone how they can reach you.
Definitely. So you can send me a friend request on Facebook. My page is public. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is my passion to purpose. So MyPassion, the number two, and the word purpose. So definitely follow me there. I do have a Facebook group as well, Fab and Fit the Movement. So definitely, if you would like more fitness tips, if you want, again, community with accountability and support, recipes, things like that, definitely join us in that community.
Thank you. And I'm in her group as well. It's an
Yes.
awesome group. She
Thank you.
always gives great nuggets.
Thank you.
Sheree has such a humble and sweet spirit, and that was and I don't even know how long I've been following you, but you've been consistent ever since I've been following you. I guess seems like it's been a couple of years now. I'm not
Yeah,
sure,
I think so.
but little by little, I've taken what you've shared,
Thank
and
you.
it wasn't until I made that drastic move this year, and I said, you know what, I'm going to put all those nuggets together and work on a plan that works for me. And here I
Good.
am, and I'm
Awesome.
loving the journey. I love the work that you do,
Thank
and
you.
wish you much success and
And
all the
same to you.
blessings. And I look forward to having you back on here soon.
Awesome.
Maybe there's some women in your boot camp that have some great outcomes, and they'll be willing to share. And that way,
Yeah.
you can have some promotion for your next boot camp. But I think that would be an inspiration to see the results of the ladies that you're working with, because it's definitely an inspiration, and you also not only inspire but you educate.
Thank
And
you.
so I appreciate you and your service. And if there are, let's see, um, please, Waukesha posts what? Please post if you can. What are we
Yeah.
posting, Waukesha? While she's answering, I'll go to Marilyn,
Drinking
who's
drinking protein shakes for breakfast, good or bad choice? I would definitely say with the protein shakes, make sure that you pick one that is lower in sugar, that is only sweetened kind of like naturally with stevia. I would definitely pair your protein with like a healthy carbohydrate, like some whole grain bread or bananas. So you want something that's kind of going to be filling and hold you over for a couple hours. I know that protein shakes are really helpful if you have a hectic morning schedule, or maybe sometimes you're not as hungry in the morning, but you don't want to wait until lunchtime to
Hmm.
eat. So I think it can be a good option.
Okay. We've got
All of
Ernest.
what is mentioned is good, and that is what I'm doing and eating. I feel great. Just having a problem with my sodas. I do good for about months, then I go right back drinking them. What advice can you give me? I think what worked for me was just understanding how I felt better without drinking soda and, lemonades. And I used to drink all those like strawberry lemonades and things like that. And I think it's just understanding, like I said, how I feel and just finding different alternatives. I like sparkling water that doesn't have any added sugar. I like fruit infused water. So it's just trying certain things was definitely helpful for me too.
Yeah, and I think for me, it was just a matter of knowing, just frankly, sodas are like a drug to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like being an alcoholic. You can't take just one sip. But that's just me. I'm afraid of what may happen if I do take that sip and, get the taste and revert back. So I'm just pressed in my mind that I've worked too hard to get where I
Mm-hmm.
am, and
Mm-hmm.
drinking a soda is not worth um, potentially taking that step back.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, we're gonna. I Waukesha was talking about your pages. I will post that,
Okay.
Waukesha, and make sure you have all of her contacts after this is over. I don't want to take her over the hour,
It's okay.
but
It's okay. This is
Sharae,
good.
it is good, and I do want to have you back. One of the things that I have thought about doing is finding some quick meal
Mm-hmm.
that probably take 20 minutes or less, or maybe 30 minutes, and do it live. And that way
Okay.
we can fellowship while we're cooking. And at the end of what we're cooking, we open up our cameras and show it to, see what the display looks like. Just something for fun.
I like that.
So I'm going to be thinking about that, and I'll
Okay.
post that, and I'll invite you and your group if you all want to participate in that. But I think it's
Yeah.
just be something fun to do.
Yeah, I
Uh,
like
we
that.
we've been locked up for so long that I just want
Oh.
to fellowship
Oh my
with some
gosh.
people, even if it's virtual. But we're gonna put that together, and I'll be reaching out to you in the future. I love collaborating with you, and I hope to have you back on here soon.
Definitely.
And
Thank you.
of course, I'll keep following you. And again, I'll keep praying for you and your
Thank you.
success and the ladies in your group. And we'll go from there.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you for helping me launch this show today. You were my
Yes.
first interview. It finally got
Yay.
off the ground today.
Awesome.
So there's going to be some more things coming up. We're going to have people who are talking about their paying off $80,000 and $90,000 in debt.
Whoa.
What that looks like. We're going to have people talking about their past traumas
Mm.
and how they have transformed their lives. So a lot of great topics coming up, not just about health, because as we know, all things of our being results in our health. So
Mm-hmm.
it's finances, mental, our weight, all of those things come together. So
Definitely.
as we end this show, I am transformed.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you, Sheree. Any last words?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me. I know how much this is a passion for you and how you've wanted to do this for so long. So thank you so much
Yeah,
for thinking of me and for reaching out to me. And I'm excited to hear the rest of the people that you have on. I know that they're going to be amazing. Thank you. Thank you to everyone who
absolutely.
watched, for taking time out of your day. Thank you so much for your support. And I just look forward to seeing what's next.
Okay. Thank you, Sheree. Have a great evening and a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.